Good afternoon, everyone. I am doing a Facebook Live and an Instagram Live at the same time, so that's why you'll kind of see me go back and forth. Not yet, have not figured out how to do them at the same time, didn't want to record them twice. So today I'm standing in Lancaster, South Carolina. As you can see behind me, this is the property that I've been talking about. It's 40 acres, plus I've got another 10 acres next to it, plus there's another 2 acres. So in total, plus or minus, it comes out to be about 55 acres. Now this property here that I'm standing on, you'll probably hear the drone behind me. Today we're doing some drone videography because I have a lot of businesses, a lot of universities that are looking at this area. So it's important that I give them a good drone shot, a good kind of aerial of what this looks like, because this property in particular, I've got my list in front of me because there's just so many things that it can be used for, is zoned neighborhood business. Now that is so general, and we right now, I'm also right on Kershaw Camden Highway and 521 bypass. So I'm about minutes from Ballantyne, probably about 50 minutes from downtown Charlotte, 15 minutes to the closest schools, and probably about 20 minutes to all of the popular Indian land high schools. So right now here in South Carolina, this is the property that I've got for sale. Just wanted to do kind of a general video today. There's kind of a lot of things I wanted to talk about. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is land. So not a lot of realtors sell land, and it's all for good reason, because when you're selling land, there's a lot to it. It's not, it's not just, it's just a piece of blank land that you're starting from scratch from. There's a lot of questions that you have to answer, and you've heard me say this many times before. The first question you have to ask, okay, let's look at the topography of the land. So this land, for example, it's fairly flat, but if you look and you go back further, it starts to go up. So now you need to start thinking, okay, so it's flat here, but then the topography starts kind of elevating up. That means we need to bring more soil in. Not only that, but as you can see, it's very wooded, which means that it's going to take a lot of clearing. So you're going to have to consider how much clearing costs are, how much dirt you're going to have to bring in. So it's not that simple where it's like, oh, it's flat, I can build a house, I can build a Harris Teeter. Even with them, even if it's flat land, for example, you guys can't tell, but right now I'm standing on this dirt, and I'm sinking just a little bit because it's really wet. If anyone knows the thunderstorm that we had, I think we even had a warning about it yesterday. So that's kind of the first thing, is when you're looking for land or at land, you're looking at the topography and the elevation of the land. The next thing that you have to consider is city sewer, city water, septic, or well. So if you're lucky, for example, Lancaster is pretty good about having sewer and water lines. It's kind of funny that in Lancaster, towards like the mill area and the downtown, there's still a lot of sewer and water lines because it used to be a mill village. Basically, there was huge warehouses, huge production, a lot of blue-collar workers in the last 50 to 100 years. So because of all those manufacturing plants, all of the city water and city sewer lines were already installed. As of right now, all of that kind of went away, and that's why it doesn't seem like there's a lot of infrastructure, but there's still a lot of those lines. So for this property specifically, we do have city sewer and city water out here. So for the neighborhood business that wants to come in here, a Harris Teeter, a Publix, or I see a lot of universities are looking at this lot right here, there is that city sewer, city water. Another thing you want to think about is the restrictions. So working with land, I have developed a lot of connections with planners all over the counties. We're talking about Mecklenburg County, Union County, Gaston County. It's very important because you might want to put a huge retail shopping center here, but if the town doesn't want it, they're not going to approve it, and you're not going to get it. End of story. So this property here is zoned neighborhood business, which allows anything from a hotel to a business park to an industrial park. But still, right now, maybe about 10, 15 years ago, you could get away with just coming to the board and saying, hey, I want to do this. There's going to be this many stores, this many parking spots. Now you need a site plan. Only site plans will be reviewed. They want to see exactly, you have to hire an engineer, a surveyor. So there's a lot of costs associated in buying land, especially huge pieces of land. So if you're buying just one lot for one house, then it's a little bit simpler. You probably invest about $1,000 to $2,000, getting the survey, getting the septic test, the city, the water, all of that, the attorney fees. But as you get into bigger properties of land, they take longer to sell. It's going to take at least 6 months just for them to get their plans in front of the board, and then it's going to take another year for everything to get approved. And that's kind of where I wanted to start my conversation in about Corona and COVID and how it's impacted the real estate market. So I'm going to be speaking about me specifically, Akin Realty, and everything that I've done and how it's impacted me, as well as a lot of the things that I've heard, because there's a lot of different thoughts and conspiracies, and it really just impacts everybody differently. So I've been very fortunate where my business, Akin Realty, is my own company, and I've been able to spread it around along 3 different kinds of industries. So I have the residential real estate part of real estate that I do. I have commercial, warehouse, industrial part that I do, leasing, and then I've also got the land development, which is separate from residential land. Commercial land, residential land, it's different. So I've been very fortunate where having my foot in 3 different buckets, it kind of helps me diversify what I do and keeps me busy. So I have to be quite honest, with this COVID, I haven't experienced any pauses. If anything, I would say I've gotten so much busier because real estate is still going. I mean, attorneys' offices are not closed. Just last week, we had a closing on a townhome. You guys saw it in my Facebook post. We literally sat in the car. The attorneys came to us and we signed the paperwork. So that's, attorneys are still working. Lenders, some of them are backed up a little bit. For example, yesterday I got a call from a commercial client of mine where because of the COVID, a lot of the SBA loans have been put a little bit on pause because they're only caring about the PPAs right now. That's the Paycheck Protection Program, because with Trump's new law, how everybody gets either $1,200 or $500 for the child. That's been kind of their main focus. So just now, a lot of them have been backed up a little bit, but I would say that's more in the commercial world. But in residential, Guild Mortgage with Tony Naprienko, we have a closing coming up this week. I haven't experienced any pauses. The only thing might be appraisals are held up a little bit, but inspectors are still working, surveyors are still working, so real estate is still going strong. And like I said, I've been busier than ever. I mean, March has been my craziest month. It already was planned to have the most closings, and people continue to buy real estate. Unfortunately, there are families who are losing their jobs and they have to save as much money as they can, and they can't do that. Of course, we've had some contracts fall through because people can't get financing because they've either lost their jobs or they just don't have the money right now, and so everybody's kind of taking this approach differently. There's the kind of person that goes and buys out all the toilet paper and water bottles, and then there's the kind of person that stays at home and continues life as they were. So I personally, Christina Kelly Akin with Akin Realty LLC, have tried to continue working hard. It's the firefighter truck. I hope you guys can hear me amongst all this highway. I'm literally off of 521 bypass. So another thing that I wanted to talk about this morning, thank you to my good friend Lacey Tony. She sent me a podcast by Kevin Ward. I actually listen to Kevin Ward a lot. He's a broker in California, and I was listening to it on my way here. And one thing that he brought up, especially for us realtors, so this is kind of realtor to realtor, colleague to colleague, but even, citizen to citizen, we sometimes are being made looked like the victim. Yes, there are some people that are actually struggling and need the help and are losing their jobs. But as us realtors and us as entrepreneurs, we know that our work comes from our own hands. So yes, there are some people that are struggling and need the help of the Paycheck Protection Program, but a lot of us realtors, the work comes from us. For example, I have not stopped working. My research, the times, let's say that I didn't have enough time to do the research that I needed to gather more listings, or I'm starting to catch up on all of that now, and I'm getting a call every other day about listing a property. There are people that are still wanting to sell their property. There are people that are calling me from the West Coast at least once a week that are moving over here. So we don't want to be made look like the victim. So especially from realtor to realtor, we still need to continue working hard to take this COVID as an opportunity to continue growing in our success. So that was a really big thing that kind of hit me, because some of us are starting to get lazy, and some of my sellers, we're not getting as many showings. And again, there's 2 sides to it. The first side is we're not allowed to show homes that